Hello, welcome back. I'm Brendan Lee. In this video, I want to talk to you about confusion. I was doing a podcast with John, and we were talking. Somebody thought I sounded like Ludo from the Labyrinth, and then I looked that up. I thought that was pretty fucking funny because I was going off. And the thing I was going off about was this phenomenon that occurs where stuff gets confused. And for example, and what do I even mean by that? Stuff gets confused. It's like that's a very vague statement. And this is where it showed up, for example. It's like, I was working with John, and then John started to say, and I've heard more people start to say this, like, that's just use and value. And I've been on a kick recently about use and value and how when you're doing consciousness work, you don't go for what's useful and valuable. And then what I noticed was on the podcast was John started to make use and value the wrong thing to do. And he was talking to me in a way that told me, he's sort of like, nah, that's just use and value, fuck it. And I was like, and I had to put the brakes on in that case because I was like, it sounds like you're making use and value a wrong thing or a bad thing to do. And I think it was like, yeah. And then I was like, no. Use and value is awesome. Useful shit, powerful shit, valuable stuff is good. Just don't confuse that with going for the truth. And so that's what I'm trying to point at in this video is the confusion part. The confusing part. If we look up Latin, I think confusion, fuse, to fuse with, con, with, fusion. Things, in essence, mixing things up or attaching things to things that they're not. So it's like a confusion, it's a mess. And in this sense, for example, stuff becomes a thing. I'm rambling a bit, but what do I mean by stuff becomes a thing? Like, as I tell in workshops, have you heard about the Zen monastery where the guys were in there and then there was a cat that used to come around and make a bunch of noise, right? So what did they do with the cat? Well, since it's annoying, they tied the cat up outside, and then 300 years later, every Zen monastery from that sect had a cat tied up outside. The cat tying up became a thing, and then they're like, you ask them, why do you tie the cat up? They go, it's just tradition. Or martial arts goes that way, where you have somebody that does a martial art. For example, karate, I would imagine Funakoshi. As Peter mentioned, looking at Funakoshi, who's the founder of karate, you look at his hands are really like, there's a lot of energy, a lot of stuff going on in his hands. And then Peter's like, well, I suspect Funakoshi just broke shit with his hands, and then I bet that turned into blocking. Whereas maybe Funakoshi was not blocking. He was saying, if it comes your way, destroy it. See? And that turns into a block. And then blocking becomes a thing. Or in Cheng Shin, like whatever we do here tends to become a thing in people's minds. And, maybe the arrogant, dismissive attitude becomes a thing. It's like, we shit on everybody else. Like that becomes a thing. So you can recognize the Cheng Shin guy by his characteristic way of shitting on everything else. You see, like, no, fuck that, right? Or I swear a lot. So then swearing becomes a thing. You see how this might happen. Stuff becomes a thing. Like I was going against use and value, and then it becomes a thing. There's like people make a little whoopsie there. And what I mean by the whoopsie is this confusion. They're confusing the don't go for use and value as like the right thing to do. So don't go for use and value as a concept or a method of action confused with I should do this. It becomes one. It becomes a thing. Its own thing. No, you're going for use, and then fast forward 20 years and we have the religion of Cheng Shin where you do not go for use and value, you only go for the truth. You must be honest and have integrity and excellence, amen. Or what? No, you see, that becomes a thing again. Or Peter tells a story about one of his guys, Joe, from back in the day. I think Joe Crandall was his name. And he used to organize everything and get everything neatly packaged and organized, like all of the right steps and what Peter was teaching. And then you see what I'm saying? Like make a hierarchy and it all fits neatly. And then Peter would go and change it. And then Joe would get upset because, oh no, you've changed everything. Now I've got to reorganize. But it's like, you see, he's making something there, like a structure. And see, so it becomes a thing. And then he clings to the thing as if it's the original, and it never is. See, so then again and again and again, and which brings me to the purpose of the video here, is to get the shit out of your way that's in your way as a facilitator. Say, that's my job. No, something's in your way. Hello, look at that. Stop that. Don't make it a thing, but then you might make not making it a thing. You see, that gets tricky. So it's a tricky thing. It's tricky. See, so I want to ward you off of this. But don't make it something. Now, it's like I was talking to one of my clients and he recently had an insight, a breakthrough, right? I could see in his eyes, he's lit up, the way he's talking, what he's communicating. I'm like, yeah, you're starting to get some stuff. Cool, huh? Instant freedom from a bunch of shit. And just as a shameless plug, you know what I mean? The value, the good stuff. And then he can start to see from this new perspective, he starts to see, perhaps he sees it like, that's why you guys say this, and I get that now. Is he? And one of the things he said, which I thought was great, was when he had this insight and this breakthrough, he realized, he's like, I don't need somebody else to tell me what I got, something along those lines. I got it. I don't need validation. Like, do you need validation from a fucking teacher? See? There's that irreverence, the Cheng-Shin, Brendan Lee-esque irreverence. Fuck you. You see, fuck it, right? Don't make that a thing. See, he realized he didn't need validation from an external source. Why? Because he got it. He got it. And then consider for yourself. Like when I'm teaching, I have to do stuff to present. And perhaps one of the challenges is in there because I have to do stuff and I'll say like the same stuff again and again and again and again and again, and then that becomes like a mantra, becomes like something you hear again. I'm sure I do have some of this stuff, like don't believe what I say. You know, that's a Cheng-Shin one. Tell the truth. You have to get it yourself. Like stuff I say again and again and again. But then the point is not to make like what I say and the rationale from where I'm coming from and trying to get something across. Don't hang on to the rationale. Your job is to get what the rationale is pointing at. See, and then like I said, when my client, he got this, he's like, I see why you say this. Or, you know, the way he got into this insight was he was having a challenging emotional time and he's like, I remember what you guys said. You see? But what did he do with what we said? This is the shit. He said, I remember what you guys said. It's like, who's the one doing your emotions? He's like, well, who is doing these emotions? You see, so he took it to action. He took the blah, 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 the shit that comes out of the mouth, the rhetoric, what he remembers hearing, and put it to what? To work. He worked on it in his experience. You see, so I was like, I'm coming from some consciousness or some experience or something, some insight I'm trying to get across to you. I'm coming from that place that say you don't have. I'll say shit. But your job is to take the shit and then make use of it where? In your experience, not mine. And not your mind, like not your thinking. See, that might be confusing what you hear with your own thoughts about it. And it's not the same as getting it for yourself. And when you get it, then the stuff that I say, maybe the actions that I take make a lot more sense. Or like when I'm doing workshops, again, you know, and I'm working with people and I'm messing with them. As I see them going down certain roads, and I'll like cut them off, or I'll say something that I think will strike their mind, and they'll go, wait a minute. And then I say it again and again, and sometimes like people get frustrated with me, they get upset, they do this, and then eventually at some point somebody will pop off, they'll make a breakthrough, the insight. Oh, and they're so happy. And I'm like, thank you, finally, that's where we were going. Good, you got one. Now, do more. See, so don't confuse stuff. And then don't make it a thing. And don't make that a thing either. So just like that whole thing making, just toss it, set it aside, let it go. You don't need that for this. What you do need is get conscious. What you do need is look into the shit for yourself. That's what you need to do. So then, where are we at? This confusing stuff. Like, it keeps going, I don't know, I call it the belief conundrum or something like that, and it's the thing that had me sounding like this creature from the labyrinth, because I was going ballistic in my mind like, motherfucker. See, people, there's an Einstein quote, it's something like, basically, concepts are so convincing. We make concepts so much that they become a thing, and then we forget their terrestrial origin. Ergo, we forget that we made the shit up from nothing, from nowhere. We just said, let there be this. Like money, for example. That's pretty real. We take it pretty seriously, right? It's not real. See, we made the shit up. Money is made up. Or like our social world, this whole world of being a person. Again, we take it very seriously, and it's made up. We forget the terrestrial origin. The Zen guys hang the cat, or they chain the cat up outside. Why? It's become something to do. Why? They don't remember it was made up to serve a function. Martial arts, it's the Cheng Shin. All martial arts are a tool. Martial arts are made up. Sometimes people will have, this is the sacred. Well, actually, maybe less and less these days. But still, because of MMA. MMA starts to wipe the shit out. Or we have the traditional martial arts, which isn't really martial arts. It's not really fighting. And then we have the guys that actually fight, and that's a different deal. I make those distinctions, right? I deconfuse those things. And it tends to kick some ass. And yet, still, in the martial arts, in the MMA, you'll have this method of MMA, or this school is better than that school, and whatever. Or people fighting IBJJF, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, is different than no-gi grappling. They have these differences, and then people it seems to me, in the IBJJF, they go to the rules, and there's certain points for sweeping and certain points for different positions, right? You get points based on positions. And so then people are doing stuff based on that rule structure, and they take it very seriously, but it's made up. See, so then people forget that the shit is made up. Or just look at religion. It's everywhere. This is why it has me going off crazy. It's religion, Christian. Are you a Christian? Is that important? Again, made the fuck up. And then you confuse being a Christian with the right way to live, and now you've got a thing you have to do, but you made it up, and then you forget you made it up, and then you lie about it, probably. Ergo, you don't tell yourself the real truth about it. You just live as if that's the right way to live, and then you make other people wrong for not living your way, and then they're wrong, and you're right, aren't you? And all that's made up. See, so then things become confusing, or and another one is in science, you could even have the right science, and people believe shit about their science. Or they conclude stuff about what they find, or Peter tells me this horrific story about this professor in a university, who is saying that something like the reason gay people are having challenges with certain illnesses is because you're inserting something into the rectum the wrong way. And it's like, where the fuck did you get that from? It's like people believe their own world. They believe it as if real. And so again, there's a massive confusion. You're confusing a concept with what's real. And that's everywhere. Like, holy shit. That's a huge one. See, so this confusion stuff, it seems to me that consciousness work deconfuses things if you do it right. See, right, wrong? No. If you do it powerfully, let's scrap right and wrong. If you do it powerfully, it will deconfuse shit because it has you grasp what's true. And when you get what's true, you might get the nature of a concept that doesn't exist. You might get the nature of the social world that you and I think we share. Again, doesn't exist. You might get the nature of emotions. Again, not something that happens to you. It's something that you make, you generate. See? But you have to grasp that for real. Then you get it for real. And hurry up. Get it done. See, so then it's like this confusion stuff. If left unchecked, it just becomes another fucking thing in the world of things. You know, whatever that is, whatever I'm calling a thing here. You know, it becomes like, I don't know, like you're into metal or something like that, metal music, and then you get aligned with that culture. Or like you might have it, you play professional sports. Because you play professional sports, you think you have to be a certain way. Or just anything. It's just that phenomena that I'm trying to bring to the fore, and I'm trying to bring it to the fore so that you can suffer less confusion. Now, if you want to deconfuse yourself, get clear. Make clear distinctions between what's what. Then you will be clear. See, and you be rigorous about that. And I think that's one of the strengths here, at least with Peter and myself. I work on that. Being clear about stuff, being clear about what's what, helps deconfuse things. Otherwise, things are vague and kind of smushed together, and then, you know, people don't even realize, like, you know, they are like, people can be unclear about what's going on in their own mind, for example. They don't even know what's happening. Like, pick somebody who's very ignorant and they're having an emotional outburst. You're like, what's that? They're like, I don't know, fuck you. See? Whatever it is, they don't know, and they don't care. They just want you out of their face. They don't even know why they're upset, nor would they even care to look in that way. They're not interested. They're just interested in solve the problem. For example, right? So again, that's very confusing. It's a very ignorant world. And consciousness moves in the other direction. Not towards ignorance, towards becoming conscious of what is there. Whatever it is. Okay, so there you go. I hope that's useful. Don't make it a thing, and don't make that a thing either. Just toss all that out. What do you do about this? Just be aware that that's a possibility. Use honesty to check yourself as you're working so that, like, am I full of shit or am I actually grasping something? And then proceed. Or make it a thing, make a religion. You'd probably make a fuck ton of money too, by the way. Lie to a bunch of people and then lie to yourself that you're lying so you don't know. Go ahead and do that. And then you'll be rich and then you'll die. Okay, that was a joke, by the way. No clipping that shit out. Okay? Use that or not. I hope that's served you in some way. If you want to check out some more stuff, obviously, come here and do a workshop. They're incredibly powerful. But if you want to check out some things, we have a school community, an online community where you can get involved. So I'll leave links for that in the description. We do weekly calls, free newsletter, all that good stuff. And I do have a forum on my website if you want to write in questions. It helps me create content for you. So I'd appreciate it if you write that. Or just email me, whatever. And other than that, I think we're good to go. All right, take care. Much love. Do good work out there. Bye.